Awesome. Hello, guys. Very beautiful evening to you all, and welcome to day 15 of the Disruptive Parenting Summit. And we are live. Promises to be an incredible evening, sharing and learning. I'm excited at what is about to go down for the 15th time. Okay, so as we go on, just click the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Turn on the notification bell such that once we come on, you will be notified. Again, welcome on board.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so it's the 15th day, like I mentioned, and I want to say a big welcome to all our viewers, all our participants out there in YouTube. Thank you for joining us here live today on this session. This is the Disruptive Parenting Summit 2022. Is the very first edition, meaning this is the premier edition. Okay, how did we come about the Disruptive Parenting? It's a book that I wrote. Last year is about 1 year old now. But, there was so many things. It was like, there were many things I didn't want the book to come to fruition, right? Maybe when you start talking about that book, if we count the history of actually putting that book together, it probably took 7 years. Eventually, last year, Disruptive Parenting was not the first title, but I won't take you that, right? But that's what we eventually published. Why disruption? Why disruptive parenting? Some people ask me. It's because there are so many negatives right now in the society that we live, that we find ourselves, too many things going wrong. As though I believe that the soul of the next generation is in serious contention. So if it's not the parent who is toxic and, throwing their toxicity on their children, it is now the school. So you send out the child to school, and sometimes the child doesn't come back alive. At other times, they are named. Or is the society that seems to be throwing everything and anything on the 21st century child? So the environment is so packed with so much toxicity that it has to take a lot of intentionality. One of our speakers called it godly intentionality to be able to raise a wholesome child. All right. So after thinking about that and all of those things, even at home, sometimes you have the child abused in their own home. The home is supposed to be the safest place for a child. But I have, in my working in families, in the family life space, and working with children, I have seen a child, 13 years old girl who was constantly raped by her grandfather, right? So it sounds crazy. Unfortunately, that's our reality. So what do we do to help the 21st century child, the art generation? There has to be some kind of disruptions. Even her leadership. If you take a cue from Nigeria, for instance, we have too many leaders, too many people in leadership who are not worthy of emulation. So how do you tell a child to see the father of her friend in school lift up chairs and fight in the National Assembly? And then you're preaching peace to that child. So we have many times we have parents say, do what I am saying and not what I'm doing. We eventually must have to disrupt that flow of negatives and infuse the right values. If there must be a next generation that will have some level of sanity. All right. So we launched the book last year, and it got all kinds of accolades. You know, somewhere along the line, that was that book. It was that project that got me the name Celebrity Author. And so we are working. This year, we just thought, moving forward, we got into Disruptive Parenting Summit. Did I tell you that through that, we already have the Disruptive Parenting Academy as a course, and a whole lot of people are on there. We have many coaches, because on that platform, we are helping coaches to become parent coaches, to become highly paid parent coaches, and we're helping parents become consummate parents. All right. So it's one place that you have to be. My name is Amaka. I am the host of the Disruptive Parenting Summit, the author of the Disruptive Parenting book, and the founder of the Disruptive Parenting Academy. What we are doing with this summit is to bring in professionals at different levels, people with experiences, people with the graces, people with the knowledge that you will require to raise your children, to give them a voice, or like I would say, to give them a head start. In every child is a champion. In every kid is a king. Disruptive parenting, we are focused on raising the king in your kid and raising the champion in your child. And I can guarantee you that going through this 30 days journey, you will be equipped to help your children become everything they're wired to be. I want to say thank you to everyone who has been on this platform thus far. Today is going to be an incredible day. I am so excited and really super excited about the topic for today, because the topic for today is the child focused. It's focused on the Alpha and the Generation Z. Why do I say that? Because they are digital natives. I usually tell parents, there's nothing that you can do to be able to detach your child from the internet space. In fact, to attempt that is to actually do that child a deformity, some level of deformity, a disservice. What we can do is to help them learn what to do, how to do it. If we infuse the right values in our children, the values, we choose the sites they will go to. The values, we choose the content they consume. The values, We choose what they post. One of the biggest problems that people, particularly leadership, will have within the next 10 years, 15 years, will be their digital footprint. A lot of people are not paying attention to it. Digital footprint. We just post anything. It will not be normal. It will not be handled the way it's being handled now. There's going to come a time when, if you're going to get a job, it's happening already, but it's going to increase in percentage. It's going to skyrocket. There's going to come a time when, before you get a major appointment, international or national, it will be determined by what you have been sharing. I pray that what you and I, we guide our children to learn even today, we help them to maximize. Because whilst there are things that they shouldn't go for, there are too many opportunities in the internet space, right? So today I have brought one of our colleagues. You know, we met in the mental health class. So I am confident she's a mental health therapist. She's also a professional counselor. So she's not a worker pass like I usually say. She knows her job. All right. Some of these people, it's not some, all of the people, to be candid, all of the people that have been on this platform and the ones that are going to come, they are people who are making serious impacts. They are people who understand what they are doing in the industry. All right. And so having them here is a real privilege. I hope we all maximize it. All right. Thank you so much, Coach, for coming. I deeply appreciate it. It's on this note that we welcome Coach Vivian to the Disruptive Parenting Summit 2022, day number 15.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. You know, I truly enjoyed the introduction you did. And I'm sorry if you can't hear me very well because my mic is not fixed. So I just do hope that you can hear me very well.
Yes, I can.
So yes, I truly enjoyed the introduction you did. And I love to work with passionate people, you know, so just some days ago, I was supposed to have a particular prayers with some group of women, and then I forgot why, because I started to have a discussion with my husband about parenting, you know, the dynamics and what has been happening, and we were there for about 3 hours. Okay, so it's my joy to be here. I welcome you all on board, those that are already on the platform and those that will still see this video after now. Right, like she said, I do hope that we'll have a great time. So we just want to quickly jump into the topic of today because we have limited time to spend here. And the topic is managing the internet space, managing the internet space. And it's almost like two-edged, like to the parents and to the children. And I would like to start with the parents before I go to how it works with the children, right? Because, you know, I'll be digressing a little bit, sometimes bringing a little bit of religion, just pardon me, right? So I always say that it's hypocritical for we to expect our children to do what we aren't doing, right? Like I always pray that I will be a witness of whatever I'm talking about and not just quoting it. So I know that as parents, we are always quick to, we are eager and really wish that our children should be able to use the internet very well, use it for its proper use, not abuse it, not overuse it, right? But it would be very logical and very wise if we will do a kind of introspection, evaluation to say, okay, myself as the mom or the dad or as the parent, how am I using the internet, right? Because these children of this age, they are not children that you could just tell them anything and you expect them to obey. Some will obey out of fear, but right in their mind, they are thinking, but excuse me, you are doing this. So if you have teenagers like myself, I have a teenage daughter, she'll like, she's not fearful at all, very confident. She'll be like, but mom, you're doing this and you have to explain yourself, right? So this is the generation we are. They learn more by modeling. They learn more by mirroring. So I'm saying all this to say that for we as parents that are here to learn on how to make sure that our children manage the internet space effectively, not abuse it, not overuse it. How are we using the internet space? It's beautiful. Like our host said, internet has been, and then social media is something. If our use of internet, ICT has come to stay, like she rightly mentioned, there are some jobs that you can't even get except to have this knowledge. Beautiful, right? Yes, I know some of us do, what's it called? Working from home, virtual working from home. I'm doing one as well. But all these things are not really justifiable points enough if we are spending time much more than we are supposed to spend on the internet, because it is going to rub off on our children, except we have to sit them down and explain actually what you're doing. Like said, okay, I'm working right now, be away from you guys, or I'm going to be with my phone for 5 hours because I'm going to be working. And you make sure that you're saying the truth and you're as genuine as possible. So that is what I have to say. And then, yes, it's true, we are talking about managing the internet space. But truly, I would like to chip in some things that will also be of help, because I'm very passionate, and being someone that's been a professional counselor, certified counselor, I've had experiences working with children and family for over a decade or something. So I know how this thing works, right? So beyond the internet space as well, let's talk about gadgets, or electronic gadgets, for instance, the television. Some parents on this platform right now, we have some series on the television that we love so much, right? I don't want to mention name. There is a particular one that is everywhere now, making women go crazy and all that. So if we are overindulging in such activity, and at the same time, we are trying to stop our children from being, from overusing the internet space, it's like you're shooting yourself at the leg, because they're like, I don't want to go ahead of myself in what I have to teach today, because some of these are children. I don't know the parents we are having on this platform, the age range of their children, whether they are preteens, toddlers, children, teenagers, because some of them, these gadgets has become their friend, and that is actually because we are not doing what we are supposed to do. I'll still go over to talk about the teenagers, how we are going to, the children, how we are going to manage the internet space with them and all that. But I would like us to know something very, very, very important. Okay, so we have to model whatever we are saying. If you have children and you are overindulging in these activities with gadgets, they are going to copy it, no matter what you say. So they learn more by visual than by audio. We are using, when we are talking to the children, we are doing audio, right? When we are counseling them, you are doing audio. But when they are watching what you are doing, that's visual. Whatever they are watching on the internet, that's visual. So what they see is more effective than what they hear. And that is why in most schools, they will always say, go in with your instructional materials. So please, let's be very careful of what we do before these children. And if you as a parent know, okay, I have this weakness, I'm always with my phone. I know parents, they will press the phone and sleep with it, and the children are watching them. They'll be like, so you have pressed this phone to the point that you're even sleeping. They wouldn't say a thing to you, but it's sending a message to them. So when you are correcting them, it's backfiring. They are not saying it, but within their heart, they're like, is it me you are talking to? But you are doing the same thing, right? So please, this is like a plea. Parents, we should do an introspection evaluation to say, okay, am I managing the internet space as it ought to, or am I abusing it? Am I overusing it, or am I using it wrongly? I don't even want to mention some sites that parents even go to. They think they can even delete it, but these children are very smart. They know how to go to history. They know how to check some stuff. I'm telling you what they do. So let's also, as parents, make sure that we are not abusing the internet space, we are not overusing, and we are not using it wrongly, so that when we are trying to teach or inculcate the right values into our children, it will be very effective. Okay, so that's the few things I would like us to talk about. I've mentioned the point that I would want to reemphasize before I quickly go over to how we can manage the internet space with our children. And it is like, it came to me because I have this passion for children, sometimes I'm alone and I'm thinking and thoughts drop, right? So what I mentioned was about visual and audio. So it was an inspiration that came to me while I was meditating, thinking about this whole issue. And it came that, like I already mentioned, when we are talking to them, several hours, you are counseling, you are speaking, you are correcting, you are admonishing them, it's audio. When they are watching what you're doing, when they are watching whatever on the internet is visual, it's more effective. So you're taking your children to church, Bible school. Make sure you attend your Bible study with your Sunday school teacher. They are burning hours with them, a whole lot. You do devotion at home, even do fasting, all of that. They are all audio. But what they watch with their eyes, what they see you do, and what they watch on the internet or through these electronic devices are visuals, and they will stick more. Okay, so that is to say that we must ensure, because apparently we can't close their eyes from what they have to say. See, so what we do is that we make sure that they are beholding the right thing, whether physically or through the internet or whatever means, they are beholding the right thing. So when they are beholding the right thing, even though you are not speaking much, even though you are not correcting or counseling or admonishing much, they will still learn a lot. Whatever they have seen you do as a parent, whatever they have watched on the internet that is positive, we stick and we make them better children. So having said all of that, let's go to how we can manage the internet space with our children. So we believe so much in research, experiences, like with our counselors that work in the field. Most times we work with data we collect from the field. Not okay, reading books are beautiful, but most times we engage these children and we hear from them. Okay, so we want to talk about how to manage the internet space with our children, which is very, very important. Our host made a statement and she said that denying them from the use of internet is like making them handicapped and irrelevant for the 21st century, right? We really can't do that, because I was thinking that before. Okay, let me tell you my opinion before now is that they shouldn't have a phone, they shouldn't have access. After I've heard all that is happening around the world in our society, so I concluded that, okay, my teenagers, my children wouldn't have an Android phone, right? They won't be exposed to internet and all that. But lately, I've realized that we are going to do them, or I'm going to do them a whole lot of disservice. They will lose out on so many things, right? So they need to interact with this internet space, but it just has to be managed very importantly. And when we talk about management, it's very important, right? It cuts across so many things. I'm going to list like few of them here. So before I go into that quickly, and I'm going to just run through, I would like us to know that children these days are getting addicted with these electronic devices, with phones, with their tabs, and all of that, with the internet. I'm telling you, practically 2 years. I have a friend of mine called me today and she was like, okay, so any small thing, my son says, my phone, your phone, your phone, your phone, so she had to ask for how she can manage that, and she got help, right? So it's very important that we manage the internet space. The first thing we'll have to do is to establish rules. We have already established that we don't need to deny them these gadgets or access to internet. You don't need to deny them. But someone made a statement I would like to emphasize also on this platform, that parenting is sacrificial. Parenting is sacrificial. Yes, very, very sacrificial. So before now, I was of the opinion that, I'm a career woman and I mean to just pursue my career, and every other thing should come second. But now I know better. I'm proud before everyone, even on this platform, to say that I am a full-time housewife. Every other thing is secondary. And it depends on how we see it. So a full-time housewife is not actually sitting down and doing nothing. It's just making sure that I'm around my children as much as possible, and then creating possible means to also do every other thing in life, right? So having said that, we need to know that they need this internet, but we need to be around. So the first thing you have to know in managing the internet space with your children is to establish family contracts. I don't know, but because I have a teenager around me and many teenagers around me as well, foster children, I know very well that managing the teenagers is not a very easy task at all. It's not a work that you do haphazardly. You have to be extremely intentional as possible, and your communication has to be, on a very high level. Okay, so you have to establish rules with them, and when establishing those rules, make sure they are fully involved. That's how we roll. So, okay, so I'll tell them why this thing has to be done, why we have to establish this rule is for their own good, absolutely. Give them some key reasons, allow them to ask questions, and then tell them, okay, so how do we establish this rule? These words I've suggested, what do you think? Until you come to a conclusion. So when you're working with teenagers and young people, right, preteens and the rest of them, you have to make sure that they are participating, that they have, so they can have that sense of belonging. They will say, you created the teenagers can impose stuff on you. They'll be like, well, you didn't ask me, so I wasn't interested. So when you bring them in, they will know that we all made this rule, so we have to abide. And every rule must have consequences. You don't just make rules and say, okay, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing this at this time. Failure to do this, this is the consequence. And I think it's very beautiful if somehow we as parents get ourselves involved. I tell you, it's beautiful to work with these children as probably not friends, but maybe colleagues. It's beautiful. I can tell you for free. So they should also know that we have weaknesses. I mean, we can be a bit vulnerable with our children. It's amazing. We don't always, when you always put yourself in that place, like, I know everything, I'm in control of everything. When you now make mistakes, they'll be like, okay, so I thought you are the master of all. Right? So most of my perspectives will be coming from working with pre-teenagers and teenagers, okay? So that's my core ministry. So you have to get them involved, get their opinion, establish these rules. And also when you, for instance, what I mean is this. So we're going to be using the internet between 4 to 6 p.m., right? For instance, and then they see you, pressing your phone seriously around 9. They're like, what are you doing? So you'd be like, okay, no, I'm working right now, right? Trying to respond to some mails and all that. I'm not on social media. I'm not catching phone, right? Our internet time has expired. This is just an example. You can create any rule that will help you make sure that the internet is not overused. The internet is not wrongly used. We have the overuse of internet, then we have the wrong use of internet. When you use the internet so much, it's overused. When you use it for purposes that are not appropriate, that is the wrong use, and they are all abused, right? So establish rules or contracts that will help people to make sure that you are both safe online and you are not spending time more than you ought to. Then the second one is check-in times. It sounds like the first one, but it's not exactly the same. You can start to say, okay, when are we checking in for the internet? The rule could be broad, a whole lot could be in there, but check-in time talks about, okay, so what time do we have to use the internet? It's okay, it's 4, okay, 6, is 9, then we are ending. I would like to chip in here that please, because I have a couple of friends that are, averagely okay, so they have Wi-Fi running in their homes 24/7, so the children have access to the internet, right? So if you are in such family or such category, what you do is that when the check-in time expires, let's say our check-in time is 6, expiring 8, they would have to submit their gadgets, be it their phones, be it their laptops, be it their, whatever system, what's it called, iPad that they are using, because you wouldn't want to know what happens when we allow these children to sleep with their gadgets, especially when they have access to the internet. access to Wi-Fi and the rest, is a different thing, is a different topic, is a different body that I wouldn't like to bore you with. But I tell you, some of them that are not heavy sleepers could wake up and say, okay, let me just do something. And in there, they bump into something very negative. And in that quiet mood, at night, a lot happens. They start to do a whole lot. I'm telling you. So like I said, I'm not just going to digress into what our young people are doing today. Is a whole lot, right? So before I start, I told you that I'll be digressing a little bit in and out, but I know where we are. We are in number 3. We have talked about check-in times, but I would like you to know that as a parent, please note this. I use every opportunity I have to, and every platform that comes my way to chip in those things that I know that are very key, that will help we as parents, right? I would like you to know that children being addicted to stuff like masturbation, pornography, and the rest of lesbianism, homosexuality is not actually from maybe 10 years, pre-teens and above. Young people as young as 8, 6, we see them in the field. You ask them, when did you start? I started when I was 6, when I was 5, when I was 7. Okay, and you find this thing very common amongst economically average children. So if you think that giving your children access to internet unlimited, not managing it, you are doing them good, no, you are destroying them, because they don't have that self-control, that will to control or to say no to bad things. Okay, so please, let's know. So one thing with parents is that some of us as parents, not all, some of us as parents can be very naive, very undiscerning, I'm sorry to say, that we commonize everything. No, it's my little boy, my little girl, but they will teach you. I know some of us have knowledge of what's happened last time with a particular school on the Lagos Island. I wouldn't like to mention the name again, a 10-year-old girl and all that. We've seen all of this. So one of my passion beyond educating the young people is to also educate parents. That's why I love when I was called to speak on this platform. Please, let's stop being naive. Let's stop being undiscerning. It doesn't help, right? So if you're like, oh, my little boy, oh, my little girl, please dig deep to know how they are living their lives, because we're actually going to give accounts, right? So the third one on how to manage the internet space with your children is you can declare something like tech-free weekends. This may sound actually very simple, but if you want to know the level of your children's addiction to these gadgets, just declare this tech-free weekend. So I did it with my daughter because, okay, she doesn't use internet a lot. Probably uses it for WhatsApp, check up on her friends, more stuff. So we were like, after some weeks ago, I was like, can we do gadgets free fast? It sounded simple to her. She was like, what's there? I can't do without those things. What do you take me for more? So, okay, I'm sorry, but let's just do it. Lo and behold, she just like randomly goes to touch the phone. She couldn't stay. She saw that, oh, really? It's like I have so much affiliation with this phone thing. It dawned on her that, really, this phone has a strong grip on me. And she started to say, I'm going to do this fasting more, right? So please, how to manage the internet space again to make sure that we are safe, make sure we are not wrongly using it or overusing it, is to probably declare tech-free weekend. Saturday, Sunday, nobody goes to the internet, nobody uses the phone, checks anything, TikTok, WhatsApp, whatsoever. Nobody does that, right? And it can be very interesting if you as a parent can also join them during that weekend, if you can, right? To also check yourself, right? To be sure that you are not a victim of what you are trying to save them from. So it's a very, very big technique, very, very big technique. It will help you to know what is happening with your children. Okay, then the fourth one I have here is, we've talked about tech-free Saturdays. You can also decide to, create activities that will take the place of the internet space. Yes, create activities that will take the place of the internet space. Very important, because we might all love to, probably because of the level of damage some parents have realized the internet space have done to their children. Now you're like, I want to collect the phone from them. It's not as easy as you think, So I'm just trying to be straight with the topic I'm giving, but if I'm allowed, I will say a whole lot of things. You know, we are quick to do that, but have we asked ourselves how sacrificial we have been with our time to these children? Some of them, these gadgets has become their companion. When dad comes in or mom comes in, they go into their room, they are doing their stuff and all that, and the children are just alone. They have done the homework, they have done the house chores, what else to do? And these days, it's not like our days where we have good neighbors, we play with and all kinds of stuff. They are just, everybody's just in their gated estates, in their apartments, everywhere locked up, right? So it would be good if you're planning to manage the internet space to ensure that they are not being there so much. They are not overusing the internet space. It will also be good that you create programs and activities that can substitute for that internet space. Please don't be quick to withdraw those stuff from them and just allow them to be alone. And I don't mind they say is the devil's workshop. Okay, so create activities, how to, bonding activities, but between them and their siblings, you as a parent, as with them, and it will be very interesting. And gradually, you are able to manage the time they spend on the internet. So that is what I have for number 4. And I think the last thing I'll have to talk about in managing the internet space is we, the parents, knowing about the internet space. Yeah, it's important that we know about the internet space because you don't want to know what these children know about the internet. Like I sit down and I'm like, okay, are they born with this spirit or what? What is happening? A 2-year-old. Look, I have a friend of mine, her daughter, as at there was 5 years, and she was using the phone. She was so engrossed and she took time with the phone. So we're trying to find out, what are you doing? I'm trying to create an email to invite my friends for my birthday party. You want to create email, 5-year-old, right? So they know a lot, and I'm really amazed. Like some of the things I know today, my daughter taught me, did you go for any computer lesson? No. They know how to explore. Like some of the apps I've not even gone to, they go there, right? So if we want to manage the internet space of our children, we have to be, internet literate as much as we can. Some of us, we don't even know there are so many social media apps that are out, TikTok, this and that. Someone mentioned like 2 other names today, and I was like, wow, already out, because this is how it works. Some of them that have gone, like the pre-teenagers and the teenagers, they could go to some apps that you're not familiar with, and they are doing a whole lot of stuff there. And you're thinking, you just go check the Instagram, probably check Facebook, check YouTube, check the history. Nothing is like, oh, so they tend to be smarter than us. So managing the internet space of our children, we should learn about the internet space as much as possible. Go for that knowledge. It's not a waste, because gone are the days when we are thinking that parenting is just reading the Bible or the Quran or whatever you have to parent them. No, you really have to be in their word, in their space, right? So I want to thank God for what counselors are doing, teachers are doing, but the parents are the significant persons, stakeholders in this issue that need to take up this job and say, okay, let me even learn, let me know what is happening. Because what we find is that like the last case they had in that school on the island, the woman was saying, I don't know what the school has done to my child, right? I blame the school, but I mean, as a parent, we should own up that responsibility and take up the blame. Excuse me. So let's learn about the internet space. It's very important so that we can navigate. My daughter know, there is no space you go into the internet I don't even at least know how to navigate through. So it's very, very important we know all this. So I don't know if we'll have questions to ask, but I would like to also reemphasize some of the key things I mentioned earlier, such as visual and audio. What you are doing and what your children are gazing at is what is having more impact than what we are all saying, both in our schools, in our Sunday school teaching, in our morning devotion. So we should be very careful, and we should also be very familiar with the internet space. And before we are quick to withdraw those gadgets with the children, we should be able to give them a substitute, which we as parents, our time is the ultimate thing we can give them. So I hope that's helpful enough. Thank you. Okay, we can't hear you. I personally can't hear you. I think your mic is muted.
Yes, sorry about that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Guys, please make her feel loved and appreciate the sense of chats and celebrate her. Thank you so much, Coach. We appreciate you. Thank you for this knowledge that you brought. We just asked 1 or 2 questions. Parents here could be asking, what platforms do you recommend, like websites that have the rights or contents that children that parents can help their children to go to? Because sometimes what comes at them normally will be first the negative content. All right. If you create if we create the gadget time and we create the internet time, what should we be doing at that time? Because if we say yes, that it will have 1 hour to be online, 1 hour between online doing what?
Fantastic. I love it. Okay, so for instance, we have YouTube for kids that you can install in their gadgets. But for me, up till now, my daughter still uses my phone. I'll give her access to the internet, and then she uses the phone, but I monitor what she does. But we have YouTube for kids we can install in their gadgets, in their phone, in their laptops, and all that. Then the second thing that I almost, thank God for this question, I almost forgot, is that we could, because some of these children, yes, they love using the internet, the phones, their gadgets, and it's not actually what we think. We Nigerians, I'm afraid of us, we can easily generalize, like, oh, it's with the phone, is going to do bad thing. No, some of them are really talented with this. Like, if we allow them, they could create something beautiful out of it. So we could give them tasks, to develop apps. We could engage them in coding classes, that runs after school, that you make sure that, okay, the lesson teacher is online, teaching them stuff that they love. They can actually learn what they love through the internet. For a child that loves music, he can learn his keyboard on the internet. So his lesson teacher knows that, okay, 5 to 6 is free period. He uses that. So he's on the internet, but he's learning something very important. It could be learning art, it could be anything. So there are apps you can download. They're on the internet, right? But they are doing something very productive. So it's left for us as parents to explore. You can ask other parents, you can Google, okay, what are the apps and what is the child's interest? So we don't force interest on them. You ask, okay, Chidi or Jake, what do you like more? Do you like music? Do you like coding? Do you like football? Do you like? So you could just create those forms online. So their internet time, instead of just watching cartoons. Of course, I didn't mention some of these cartoons these days are very not appropriate. I'm telling you. And being in their space means you have to sit down sometimes and watch what they are watching to see the message is sending across, censor the cartoons they are watching. But I mean, it mustn't be just cartoons. I found out that the addiction the younger ones are having is mostly on cartoons, and it's going to make their brain not to be very, productive, to just be thinking about form. So YouTube Kids, for those that have gadgets, but if they are using your phone, you could install apps based on their interest. And then during that 1 hour they are playing, it could be video games. They're interesting video games that can stimulate the brain and make them to be very intelligent. So basically,
I think it was about 2 weeks ago or so, I heard about a Nigerian guy, a 20 years old boy, they are in Nigeria. He's studying abroad. He's working for an international organization. Wow. 20 years. The boy is super rich.
Wow.
So he doesn't by himself. He decided that he doesn't want to be on IG. He doesn't want to be on Facebook. He doesn't want people to know that he has that kind of money. He doesn't want kidnappers to start coming after him. That's how rich the guy is. 20 years. So I said that to replace the fact that there's so many things that can be learned online. You can enroll them into business classes. We do that every holiday, right? You can enroll them into coaching classes.
Great.
Right? When you find coaches like this who work with children, they can do a lot online. You can enroll them in classes where they learn basic sexuality education,
etiquette, manners,
etiquette, all of those things. All right. And then there's something I also realized. When we tried it, it made my daughter to draw better.
Wow.
You know all those arts, check them up on YouTube, and you will see teachers that are teaching how to draw line by line. All right. So, like you said, you mentioned, because a lot of parents are watching all kinds of programs, they are not thinking of the positive things that their children can actually do. There are many opportunities online. So let's tilt our children into or towards those areas.
Yes,
because if they're excited, for instance, if you have a child who loves arts, who loves reading, and all those, that time, that 2 hours, they can actually use 1 hour to read and use 1 hour to play game. And there's some games, all those word search and all those, that will help them to develop their
intellectual
thinking ability. Right?
Great.
So let's help our children to become, do more and be more. The internet has come to gadgets you cannot. In fact, I think that instead of allowing them to see before a television, watching cartoons, like you said, a lot of funny things are being laced in cartoons. And the more, remember, faith comes by hearing and hearing. Those things are sending signals in their brain. Don't want those things to mess up the job you are doing as a parent. All right? I'm also excited. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So before you ask your second question, I would like to chip in something. Thank you so much for your contribution. And I want to talk about social media. So allowing our children to have access to the internet is different from allowing them to have access and own social media accounts. So I think that the social media accounts, owning a social media account is not healthy for our children. Yes, because I have some parents that justify, we don't want to deny them that privilege. What are they learning? Because everything in life is age appropriate. They are going to get to that time where they're going to have social media accounts. And we as parents should start to inculcate in them on living a productive life. So if they're going to own a social media account, probably when they're 16, they're already in the college or university in Nigeria, you are more or less talking about your company or your organization, your NGO, less than yourself, right? I have a social media account, my personal social media account. I don't even do much there, but it's the one for my organization that I try to do as much as I can do. So let's start inculcating, telling them we're not denying you, but let's talk about this. You that want to solve a problem in Nigeria, I believe that you are that wise, you are that passionate and that patriotic. So you should think more of things that will help people. So let's not allow them on social media. It brings a whole lot of pressure that leads to depression. I only have 2 likes. I said it, nobody likes me. Imagine my whole picture with my ponytail, I just have 2 likes, right? So let's dissuade them from having social media accounts. Allow them, give them access to the internet as we monitor it and make judicious use of it. So that's what I wanted to chip in.
Yes, very, very critical. Working with children, right? I have a couple of children around me who are already running impact organizations.
Great.
So what do we do? For instance, we have a 10-year-old who will be launching her book in within the next 3 months.
Fantastic.
Right? So what did we do? Through my page, I opened a Facebook page for her. So myself and her manager will manage that account.
Great.
All right. So we know what is shared there before it's shared there. Because she's teaching value, she will need to reach out and be able to impact her other children out there, right? I also have a couple of other children who have authored books. I know the one who is children CEOs.
Wow.
Right? On this platform, we have had the founder of Kidpreneur talk. We hosted her already. So if you didn't watch that video, please go and watch it. Those things, how to help your children to begin to monetize their ideas. So what usually happens, if you go on Instagram, if you see any of those ones that the children are business oriented or they are making impact, you will see on it managed by parents.
Wow.
Right? So it's not something they go in and out at will. And they can do that with your own gadget. They don't have to own a gadget to do it. All right? Because I know a family, their children, that particular family, they gift you a gadget on your 10th birthday. Right? While that may be nice, the one thing I also observed is that those children do not sleep sometimes till 3 a.m.
I know it.
Do you understand? It's very addictive. Very addictive. And it sends wrong signal to their brain because they are still developing. It distorts their sleep. Every child should get between at least 8 hours sleep a day. 10, 13 is what is recommended. At 9 p.m., every child should go to bed. That, from my perspective. But if you give them those gadgets, they can stay with it. They won't sleep. Other parents can sleep off holding the gadget. The children won't sleep. You just realize that the next morning, once you're waking them up from bed, they don't want to stand up. Now it's encroaching into the thing they should be doing with this season of their life, which is learning and going to school. All right? So, thank you again for coming. We are grateful for this thought-provoking. I hope we learned. And like I will always say, practice, 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 practice. If you need help, reach out and get help. Remember that we are hosting all of these masterminds because I believe personally that there is no one single human being that has what it takes to raise a wholesome child. That's why you send your children to school. Otherwise, you should have homeschooled them from preschool to the university. That means that in each school that they attend, at whatever season, there are people who are there, who are partners in grooming them. So all this, my child, my boy, my girl, I don't want to go back to some of the things that we have already learned in this summit. But when you watch the videos, you will also see that we are caregivers. God trusted these children to us. We are not owners. God is owner. So we are co-parenting with God.
Yes, ma'am.
All right? So it's on this note that I will say once again, thank you, Coach Vivian. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so good to see your face.
Yes, ma'am.
You see what internet can do.
Yes, a lot. Yes, all the way.
Right? We connected online. We got the certification online. We did graduation online. So there's so much you and your children can do
with the internet.
what you're looking out for. Is what you're looking out for. All right? Yes, so thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's been a wonderful evening. Guys, remember, if you have not liked the page, please like the page, subscribe, click the subscribe button. Click it now. Don't postpone it. Click the subscribe button and please share, 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 and share. Remember that until every child is safe, no child is safe. Until every child is sane, no child is sane. And I used to think, all of us, if you know who your son or your daughter is going to get married to, it would have been different. Right now, you don't know. So it's better for us to just spread out our wings and make sure that every child that we're able to reach is groomed like they should. Because together, we will raise a generation, a nation, whose builder and maker is God. Again, please click the subscribe button and share the video so that other parents can learn to raise a beautiful new generation. Thank you for coming. See you tomorrow. Today, like footballers, this is halftime. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Love you guys plenty. And yes, like I will always say, I